Well, now that enough time has passed, we can finally talk about our boy in the sky, the Big Blue Boy Scout, and the Man of Tomorrow, Superman. The movie itself has stirred up a lot of controversy on both sides of the fandom, which is kind of bizarre. Dude, it's a Superman movie. It's really not that deep. But with the movie soaring past the Rotten Tomato scores that would make any Schneiderbot cry and type a 500-word essay on their personal Facebook group, it seems it was a really good first step in the right direction for the DCU. But with the success of the movie, it seems that some fans, old and new, are a little confused on Clark's actual origin. I'm talking about the L's message sent with Superman and why seemingly throughout the entire movie, it's well established that indeed that message was authentic and not forged by Lex Luthor, where Clark was originally sent to this planet to conquer it in the name of the Krypton Empire.
Now why does that sound familiar?
You don't seem to understand. Earth isn't yours to conquer.
Invincible has a special place in my heart. Not just the show, but the GOAT himself, Mark Grayson. But why do I bring him up?
Mark, we need to talk.
Lois, remember when you asked me who I was? Why I'm here? I finally have an answer for you. I'm a weapon. I'm an alien invader sent to kill you all.
This is the only way, Mark.
Don't touch me!
Calm down.
I will not calm down!
I saw it, Jimmy. The day my people sent me here to invade Earth, I saw my spaceship come through with an armada. And it makes sense. Why else would I be able to shoot fire from my eyes? To rip apart steel? I'm made for destruction.
This is insane! What do you think is gonna happen? That I'm gonna go enslave my friends for a bunch of aliens I've never met? This is my life! These are my people!
We have a responsibility to Viltrum.
I don't give a shit about Viltrum!
Now, would you believe me if I said before the movie ever came out and before the show was established, Clark and Mark already had a lot of similarities to begin with? In today's cult meeting, we are going to be looking at both the origins of Krypton and Viltrum, comparing both their motives and their morale specifically and their species, and explain why Superman and are the exact same character, but not quite. Now, before getting into today's cult meeting, leaving a like would be awesome as it gets the video out there, and subscribing will help the channel grow as we are growers and not showers. Also, if you'd like to support the channel further, I have a Patreon for early uploads, and graduation is a month away, so looking forward to that. So before diving headfirst into the similarities between these two goats, we need to discuss the origin of the Man of Tomorrow. We all know the story. The last son of Krypton, sent to Earth by his parents to survive and protect the people of Earth and serve them. He's raised by Ma and Pa Kent in a town called Smallville in Kansas, where he grows up to be the man we all know and love today. But what if I told you Krypton was hiding something we all haven't seen yet? Something admittedly Zack Snyder nailed right on the head.
What did he say?
Krypton was once a flourishing world, orbiting the red sun Rao, located in the galaxy thousands of light years away from Earth. The planet was known for its scientific advancements beyond all others. Bioengineering, cloning, weaponry, space travel, and energy manipulation. Oh yeah, it's got everything and then some. It was also known for its cultural stagnation, being emotionless, logical, and bound by a rigid casted system, where citizens were genetically engineered for specific roles. Yup, if you thought indoctrination was bad, Krypton had no naturally born Kryptonian in a long while. If they wanted a specific role done, they wouldn't select an infant from their family and abduct them from a Kryptonian family. No, they would genetically engineer them to become a soldier, a scientist, a laborer, and so forth and so forth. Not only that, but their religion is mostly spiritual isolation. Most Kryptons worship the Rao, their sun god. but had to become detached from all other life in the cosmos. Oh yeah, Krypton was basically cosmic Scientology. All these advancements in technology, in science, and basically their religion, it gave them this superiority complex to the point where their societal arrogance, believing Krypton itself was the peak of evolution, is absurd. They stopped engaging with the rest of the galaxy, seeing them as lesser beings or beneath them to notice. Growing up, we thought Krypton was the utopia we all thought we wanted. But actually, it turns out it's just a planet full of assholes who thought they're more superior than the lesser beings. We saw Krypton as the ideal planet in where Superman would actually feel loved and beloved, because we've only seen one side of the coin, and that is from Superman's point of view. We have not seen Krypton in what Krypton was really for. And it gets worse from here. In the main continuity, Krypton used to be a colonizing warlike empire, but it's mostly hidden from the modern Kryptonian records. This was a part of the story that a little of us knew about. According to the post-crisis continuity of 1986 onward, and especially explored in the Eradicator arc, long before Krypton became isolationists, it was a colonizing power that conquered and genetically manipulated other races. The Eradicator, an ancient Kryptonian device, was created to exterminate factions to preserve Kryptonian purity by either converting alien worlds into Kryptonian environments or wiping out impure life. This is something Zack Snyder actually nailed on the head. Yes, I'm giving Zack his flowers because this was actually a really cool part of Man of Steel, but hey, don't come at me. Don't come I know the Snyder bots are gonna clip this and they're gonna use this as their ammunition. Oh, he's pure Snyder. He's a Snyder fan. Just because I like Zack Snyder's outputs, some of them, doesn't mean I have to boycott a movie just because he's not associated with him and go online and type out hashtag restore the Snyderverse, hashtag boycott James Gunn. Anyways, the project was so horrifying that Kryptonian philosophers and scientists turned themselves in, renounced Conquest, and went inward, creating the emotionless, logical-driven society Kal-El was never born from. The long and short of it is Krypton's peacefulness is a lie built atop of buried war crimes. Yep, turns out General Zod was actually the realist Kryptonian. Guess he was just too dumb to colonize Mars instead of Earth to avoid conflict, but you know, that's another thing. By Kal-El's time, natural birth was banned. All citizens were genetically engineered in birthing matrices, pre-assigned roles in society. This is critical to understand. Superman is the first natural-born Kryptonian in centuries, thanks to Jor-El and Lara breaking the law to conceive and bear him naturally. Oh yeah, Jor-El just could not keep it in his pants. Jor-El hoped that his freedom of choice would allow Kal-El to become more than what Kryptonian had become. Cold, dead, and arrogant. From here, we can tell that Krypton wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Because of the Empire's growth, not a single new Kryptonian was born naturally. And if we're going by the technicality, there hasn't been a pure-blooded Kryptonian since their last incursion. Kal-El being the first naturally born Kryptonian in centuries makes him the first pure-blooded Kryptonian born in a very long time. Meaning the powers he gains on Earth are basically the best Kryptonians can get. And if you've been keeping up on recent comics, we all know how absurdly strong he is in the current books. Now, we all know how Kal got to Earth, but most of us have forgotten who sent him there and why they sent him there in the first place. Jor-El was Krypton's top scientist and one of the few who realized that the planet was dying due to the core's instability, often ignored by the Council. But beyond that, he feared something deeper. He wasn't just saving Kal-El, he was liberating him from a doomed and prideful race. Jor-El knew Krypton like the back of his hand, and he knew for a fact that he did not want his son to go down the same path his entire race did. He sent Clark to Earth to not only save him, but to be the better man that he hoped to be, the better Kryptonian his entire race could have been. And when faced with the ghost of Krypton past, General Zod, we can see exactly how much of a contrast he actually is from the Kryptonian's truth. But then again, things don't always stay hidden. In the Eradicator 1989 to 1991, Superman encounters the Eradicator, a Kryptonian AI with a mission to reshape Earth into Krypton. It tries to rewrite his DNA and mindset to make him act like a true Kryptonian. Through it, Superman discovers Krypton was a xenophobic and imperialist planet, and the Eradicator was programmed to suppress compassion and enforce racial purity. And through the Eradicator, he finds out that his family, the House of Vel, was reformists who rejected this ideology. Clark realized Krypton wasn't a utopia. It was a dying relic, clinging on to its superiority. But despite all of that, despite finding out so much about Krypton and how it was destroyed, Clark finds out that his homeworld was rebuilt and was ruled by his nemesis that won't shut up about the greater good of Krypton. In the year 2009 and 2010, the world of New Krypton was born. Turns out there were survivors of Krypton, and Superman relocated to a new planet called New Krypton and recreated society for surviving Kryptonians. There he sees the militarism of Krypton, Krypton's caste-based army led by General Zod. It was ruthless, and it was war-ready at any time. The oppression in Krypton was no joke. Non-Kryptonian aliens are treated as second-class citizens. The cultural elitism was burning so bright that it almost burnt Clark's eyes out, not literally. Kryptonians despise humans and other species. You can see this in the Superman All-Star comic, where two real Kryptonians come to Earth to try and convince Kal that they're the real protectors of Earth, and he was a lesser Kryptonian for choosing the humans over them. Yeah, well, how'd that work out for them? Clark tries to change Krypton from within, but fails. He's horrified to realize that Krypton society was never noble. It was order-obsessed, elitists, and on the edge of fascism. Superman is a better person because of his life on Earth, not because he's Kryptonian. Clark realizes Krypton was not his home. It never was. His real home, his real family, was Ma and Pa Kent waiting for him back at home at the farm in Kansas. Oh, but you think Krypton was bad, yeah? Well, Viltrum redefines the definition of only the strong will survive. Invincible's planet of origin is a blood-soaked history of the most brutal, genocidal, fascist alien race ever drawn in comic book history. If Krypton had its secrets, Viltrumites wear their conquests like a badge of honor. Whoa, we're not in DC anymore, boys. This is Invincible by Robert Kirkman. We all know the story of our boy, but as for his home world, show watchers know little to nothing about Viltrum other than the whole speech Nolan gave him in season 1.
I am from Viltrum, but it's not the planet I've told you about. In order for our people to reach their full potential, we had to remove the weak. I couldn't tell your mother why I was here, but that time's come to an end.
Now, if you're a comic book reader, there's a lot more to know about Viltrum. Viltrum is a planet located in a distant galaxy, home to a humanoid species, the Viltrumites, that looks nearly identical to humans, but possesses unbelievable physical power. strength, nigh invulnerability, enhanced senses, and immortality. Well, technically immortality, they can still die of old age, and they can still die through physical injuries, blood loss, all of that. That's science thing, save for Rono Gaming, moving on. The only way you can tell them apart is through their mustaches and their jacked physique. That is literally the only way you can tell them apart. But their civilization wasn't always an empire. At first, it was simply advanced, flourishing, and united under a golden age of science and exploration. It was the only empire in the galaxy. Nolan and the rest of the Viltrumites purged the galaxy of any opposing empires that fought back against the Viltrumites, making themselves the strongest and sole empire in the galaxy.
I am a victim of my own success.
Roughly 2,000 years ago, the Viltrumite Empire was born in blood. Their ruler, Argel, I don't know if I'm butchering that yet because it has yet to be said in the show, but I'll just say that it is, Argel decreed that the Viltrumites would embrace survival of the fittest. This was their philosophy for the next 2,000 years. A massive civil conflict erupted, but not between armies or ideologies. It was more one-sided. The strongest simply murdered the weak. In what's now called the Viltrumite Purge, over half of the population was slaughtered, all in the name of purity. What came of it? The survivors were the strongest warriors on the planet, now unshackled by morality, and fully convinced they were destined to rule the universe.
Oh yeah, if you think, oh, big strong man is superior, strongest there is.
This was basically his entire race. Hulk would definitely fit in here the more I read this actually. With nothing left opposing them, the Viltrumites built a galactic empire. Not through diplomacy, not through cultural exchange, but through subjugation, slavery, and mass extinction. They began expanding across the stars, one planet at a time. When they found civilization weaker than them, they enslaved them, or, at worst, exterminated them. When they found ones that might resist, they seeded agents into those planets, sleeper Viltrumites if you will, to weaken them out over the generations. Their ideology was if you were strong, you deserve to rule. If you're weak, you exist to serve. The Viltrumites are not just tough. They are engineered by nature to be the perfect invasive species. Their strength can punch through planets, hurl enemies across continents, and destroy armies single-handedly. They can fly at high speeds and space travel nearly for hours on end. They can survive nukes, the vacuum of space, and internal bleeding like it's Tuesday. They age a lot slower, and the older that they get, the stronger they get. They can live up to thousands of years. They can recover from their torn limbs, internal organs damaged, and more. Oh hey, and guess what? If their numbers get low, they can simply breed with the most compatible species. This is crucial to their long-term invasion plans. Of course, they do have their weaknesses. They are very vulnerable to high-frequency sonic waves, certain diseases such as the Scourge Virus, we're gonna get to that in a moment, extreme internal injuries, so that one comic where, spoiler alert for the non-comic readers in Invincible, where Nolan's heart gets ripped out and it gets too damaged, he dies. Yeah, that's a big no-no, you're a dead Viltrumite by then. All of this in the name of the Viltrum Empire. Their expansion strategy evolved over time. After early wars cost too many soldiers, the Viltrumites adopted a long-term game. Send one Viltrumite to a planet, have him become one of them, then break them from within. This is what Nolan Grayson did, aka Omni-Man, was doing on Earth. Phase 1 was infiltration. A lone Viltrumite is sent in to live amongst the natives. They pretend to be a benefactor or a benevolent being sent to save their planet, gain their trust, and start a family. And of course, every now and then report back to the Viltrumite Empire. Phase 2 was destabilizing. The Viltrumite weakens the planetary defenses over the decades. They inhibit the technological developments and the unity, and they seethe the loyalty of Viltrumite. And finally, Phase 3 is Conquest.
Stand ready for my arrival, worm.
When the time is right, the Viltrumite either subdues the planet himself or signals a full invasion fleet. If the planet resists too hard, mass execution begins. Now, about that virus that wiped out half of the population of the Viltrumites, that is what we call the Scourge Virus and the Colonial War. Sorry, my bad, I read that wrong. That was actually the Coalition War. What the hell? Who fucking wrote this script? The Viltrumites were nearly wiped out by a bioweapon, the Scourge Virus. Created by the Coalition of Planets, a galactic alliance of civilizations resisting the Viltrumite rule. This virus was so effective it killed millions and left the rest weakened. This is how their numbers were cut down. The Viltrumites abandoned large-scale war and focused on genetic survival, breeding hybrids like Mark. But make no mistake, even weakened, a single Viltrumite is a planetary threat. To wrap up the origin of Viltrumites and Viltrum in a nice little bow, their ideology and their mindset will always be strength over everything. Power is justice. Mercy is weakness. And the strong should rule. And the weakest should submit. Even though ones who turn good like Nolan struggle with empathy and morality. Their culture is deeply embedded with their pride, nationalism, and generational trauma. Now that you made it to the 22-minute mark of the video, welcome! Now we are going to be talking about the similarities between Superman and Invincible. I know, 10 minutes for each origin? Oh, absurd! Now you're probably thinking, so their planet histories are the same. Big deal. So what? Superman doesn't kill. Invincible does it all the time. Wrong.
Why doesn't Superman kill? I think the main reason is that he sees the good in just about everybody, maybe to a fault. And so he even sees the good in those trying to do him harm.
Yeah, I believe he believes in a basic right to life. I mean, I think that that's just not in him. But I also I'm not a purist in that respect. I think that if, for instance, he had to kill to protect somebody's life, he would probably do that, even though that would be hard for him.
Superman is a symbol of hope, the man of tomorrow. Clark refuses to take a life knowing that there could be another way to end the conflict, only using his fists when needed, or when a situation calls for it, of course. Other than that, Superman is the light in the darkness most of the time. Saving kittens from trees, helping grannies cross the road, we all know the gist of who Superman is. Now, let's move past his actions, and let's look deeper. Let's take a look at his morale. Superman's whole thing is something I like to quote from The Walking Dead. All life is precious. And another quote that best summarizes who he is from an Andrew Garfield flick.
While everybody else is taking life, I'm gonna be saving it. With the world so set on tearing itself apart, it doesn't seem like such a bad thing to me to want to put a little bit of it back together.
Superman wants to save everyone. And this is also evident in the first 30 minutes of the Superman movie. defending his actions on crossing the border and stopping a war simply because people were going to die and it was simply the good thing to do? Because he has the power to do it. I remember there being a comic panel that's making its rounds on the internet right now about Pa Kent talking to Clark about how he doesn't have to answer to anyone. He has the power to do good wherever and whenever he needs. These same values apply to Mark Invincible Grayson. In the first season of the show, and in the first appearance in his comic, he is shown to look up to his father, who he believes is the world's greatest superhero, saving people on a regular basis, stopping wars, and basically doing everything Superman is known to do. As soon as he gets his powers, he does his best to do exactly what you'd expect him to do. The little things like saving people from dire situations, stopping bank robberies, kittens from trees, the whole shtick. The only difference is when he comes face to face with the truth. As he chooses to be who he is, he goes against the vision of Viltrum, and he gets his ass whooped by his father. This, honestly, if you were in his shoes, is absolutely devastating. And the same could be said about Clark. Finding out that your father is actually a part of a world-conquering race that you thought were saviors can be detrimental to someone's mental state. Let me tell you, when I say Jor-El is still alive and he took up a different mantle, that is a whole ass different origin story, and I know you guys love the lore, so I'm gonna be doing a whole video about Mr. Oz down the line, but let's just see how this video performs. It doesn't matter, I'm still gonna make the Oz video. Having to face these truths later in your life by going back to your home planet and verifying this makes it all worse. The difference in these two characters is Mark actually becomes the emperor of the Viltrumites, taking over and changing their ways. Where instead of conquerors, he shapes the empire to the idea his father told him all those years ago, when he was just starting out. Now, Viltrumites are known to be the peacekeepers of the galaxy. Mark is now living out the rest of his life with his hot wife that is basically immortal. That is true immortality, actually. His daughter and his bastard son that takes up the mantle of Invincible. And then he thinks back to his father's words. You know the ones, "What will you have in the next 500 years?" And then he looks around at exactly what he has. I guess the same could be said about Clark. In my head, the canon ending to all of this in the DC universe is Kingdom Come by Alex Ross. Clark coming out of retirement and reclaiming his humanity by putting on those iconic glasses again and marrying the hottest woman alive, Diana of Themyscira, also known as Wonder Woman. Oh, and they have a kid together, Bruce finds out later, and that's the whole comic book ending, and which, by the way, I'm okay with. Sure, how they came to this planet is different. Superman landed in a field in Smallville where he was raised by Ma and Pa Kent, thus making him the man we know today. And Mark was born out of Viltrumite Horny and is half Asian, half Viltrumite, and is basically the definition of comic book Nepo baby. But other than that, that's where I believe the difference ends. If you were to describe these two characters by their morals and how their beliefs are without looking at any of the pictures or have any prior knowledge about them, you will have an extremely hard time to tell these two apart. All in all, I believe Superman and Invincible are the exact same character, being a what if of each other, if you will. How Mark would have been if he was raised on a farm, or if Clark was born on Earth instead of Krypton. These two are by far my top superheroes. And I think a lot of you can agree with me when I say that these two would get along better than most people make them out to be. If they were face to face in a fight, or if Invincible met Superman instead of Batman in his multiversal travels against Angstrom Levy, Clark would not hesitate to come to him and to his universe to help him out as much as he could. Because despite everything, Superman will always be invincible. But that's all I got for you in today's cult meeting. What are your thoughts? Do you think Superman and Invincible are basically the same character? Or am I just fanboying too hard and everything I've said in this video is just a bunch of nonsense? Be sure to let me know in the comments. I'm free from the shackles of underpaid OJT. And I just want to let all of you know that I will be graduating on September. So do look out for a graduation video down the line. No promises, because I have no idea how that's going to perform. But hey, love you guys. You guys have been supporting me throughout this entire duration of my stay on YouTube. And I love you guys so much for that. But if you enjoyed, leaving a like would be awesome as it gets the video out there, and subscribing will keep you up to date on the latest cult meetings. That's all from your boy. I hope you have a wonderful day, and in case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.